Jean-Jacques Rousseau was an 18th century philosopher born in Geneva in 1712, whose ideas helped shape modern political and educational thought. He challenged the inequalities of society and believed that human beings are naturally good but are corrupted by civilization. In works like The Social Contract, he argued that government should be based on the collective will of the people. Rousseau's writing laid the intellectual groundwork for the French Revolution and continued to influence discussion on freedom, democracy, and human nature. Rousseau asked a big question: how can people live together but still free? His answer is the social contract, where people unite to form a general will, a shared desire to do what's best for everyone. The general will is not just what most people want or a mix of personal wishes. It comes when citizens as equals think beyond themselves and choose what helps the whole community. In this way, they stay free, not by doing whatever they want, but by helping rule themselves fairly. Rousseau says the true general will is fair, correct, and it cannot be wrong. But it works when, if only, people stay honest, involved, and it quoted from selfish group. Also says some people disagree who may need to be forced to be free, but it is still create troubling. But here, his main message is clear. Real freedom comes from building a fair society together.
And that's what's important. The general will is just not about what the majority want. It's a moral idea. It's about what's best for everyone. So that's why we make the laws ourselves, not just live under the laws. That's the foundation of democracy.
Describe it. Is that really what freedom is?
That's an excellent question. That's why Rousseau makes the clear distinction between natural law and civil law. Civil law are the laws that we made ourselves and made the choice to live under these laws. That's what makes us different from the creatures. That's what Rousseau believed.
For Jean-Jacques Rousseau, justice is not an abstract ideal or a gift from above. It is something that is decided by the general will. It is based on the people's good and what they decide to be helpful for the majority of the people in the society. For Rousseau, a law is only good when it's good for the citizens of that society. It's not decided by the aristocrats or the rulers or someone who's rich. So for Rousseau, the justice is shaped by the general will's point of view.
Now let's dig Rousseau's social contrast concept of general will, civic freedom and justice with the recent incident we've seen, the July Revolution. Now the July Revolution, it started as a very naive, very peaceful protest. The students protested against the existing quota of Bangladesh. There were 56% quota in government jobs. So they protested against it. Now the corrupted regime, they reacted very violently, very aggressively against this protest. Now, let's see how this protest goes against the general will. So, what Rousseau said in the general will, that the society should function in a way that it reflects the collective, what we can say, the collective will or the collective want of the society, not just any private gain, not just what some portion or some group thinks it, what the society needs to benefits as a whole. Now, if the quota system or the quota system is removed, the society will obviously benefit, because by doing so we can assure that the top minds they get the government job rather than some mind that are not top but they using some quota. So here the students they started protesting against the quota, and over the time period people all over the country, regardless of their occupation, gender, age, they joined the students. So we can see a clear civic activism or a clear civic activity in this incident. Also, what they started with the quota reform it. They obviously achieved what they wanted. They abolished the quota system, but not only that, they outlast the corrupted regime, the last corrupted regime. So it shows when the general will, the civic participation happens, it can also abolish the corruption. So we can see that the incident, it truly reflects that the general will, against all the orders, against all the oppression, the general will last, will outperform all the oppression, all the corruption of the society.
Man is born free, but everywhere he is in chain. This famous quote is by Rousseau. We may born with full freedom, natural freedom, but society puts a lot of pressure on us.
But Rousseau didn't believe that freedom means do whatever we want. For him, real freedom is to creating a law that is beneficial for everyone, and that's called civil freedom. It's not about selfish independence, it's about how a society should work. Now let's look at Bangladesh. In recent years, the citizens of Bangladesh, they felt like they have lost their freedom to speak, their freedom to choose their political leaders. Then came July 2024. The students were in the streets to protest. It's not about only job quotas anymore. These are deeper than that. The right needs to be heard. They wanted to transform the streets in a debate for a better future, for their dream to come true. And that's what Rousseau exactly called what is active citizenship.
Yet instead of listening, the government reacted with fear. They shut down the internet, sent into the police station, and tried to silence peaceful protesters. They said the movement was dangerous, but we have to ask, dangerous to who? To the people or to those in power who are afraid of losing control? In a real democracy, protest and questions aren't dangerous, they're necessary. Silence is what's truly dangerous. When people are scared to speak, when leaders refuse to listen, freedom starts to disappear. Rousseau once said that sometimes people must be forced to be free, but in Bangladesh, it wasn't the government giving freedom, it was the students who were asking for it. They didn't just speak up for themselves, they spoke for every other people in our country. They were not asking for chaos, they were asking for conversation, for a change, for a country where everyone's voice matters. That is what real freedom looks like. And when leaders break the trust, when they ignore the people and make unfair decisions, then standing up isn't wrong. It is the right thing to do, it is justice. So let's remember this, fighting for freedom isn't just about removing chains, it's about building something better. It's about building a country where everyone is here, respected and feel included. In July movement, the students filled the streets. We saw beginning of that better future. They gave us hope. That is the spirit Rousseau talked about. That is what democracy truly means. And that is that kind of freedom we always should stand up for, in our voices, in our actions, and in our dreams. Because even if the chains are strong, the people's hope is always stronger.
So during the protest, the protesters weren't just pissed about the economical issues such as youth unemployment or inflation. Rather, they connected it to something much deeper, which was political injustice. Something which symbolized this political injustice was the quota system. The people saw this as a modern version of a feudal privilege, which means that people were given opportunities based on who they were or who they were born rather than merit or knowledge. Feudal privilege was something that Rousseau was completely against. Rather than just surface level reforms, people demanded a complete overhaul of the system. So Rousseau argued that when a social contract is disrupted, social contract meaning the relationship between the state and the people is disrupted, just patching things up won't help, and rather the whole thing needs to be rewritten.
The July Revolution of 2024 in Bangladesh was not just a political upheaval, It was a moment where Rousseau's theory came alive. For many, the then quota represented a kind of modern-day feudal privilege where opportunities were allocated not based on talent or effort, but on the arbitrary advantages. This idea goes all the way back to Rousseau, who criticized how the old feudal system gave power and privilege to a select few simply because of who they were, not what they did. Abolishing the quota system then was seen as a move toward restoring fairness and meritocracy. People long unheard rose not just for themselves, but for the collective good to create a society just, inclusive, and truly free.